All right, we're going to go ahead and talk about some ACT questions. This is a quick little bit of like a boot camp for questions, and these are available on the Kaplan website for you guys. But we are just going to look at 12 questions and then we'll go over some answers. So these are questions where you are fixing what might be wrong in the sentence. When you're actually taking the quiz, I'm previewing it. It will look like this and there'll be a little bit more contrast, so it'll be easier to see. But this is in the review method after you've taken it. So this first one, option 1, is looking at these two words, program, comma, this, and this is a run-on sentence. And so we want to change it to program that opportunity enable students because we want to modify the correct word here. So we would use that instead of this for modifying this clause. For number 2, we are looking at this part, my destination country being Greece. Who is, so my destination country being is our phrase right here for number 2. And so we want to know what the correct way to say this is. The verb, or sorry, this question is talking about a proper predicate for the sentence. So every sentence needs a main verb that tells us what the subject's action is or what the subject state of being is. In this case, our verb is was. So I was able to take part in that program. And so we know that it's past tense. So we're not going to say my country being, we're going to say my destination country was Greece to match the tense that we saw in the sentence before. Matching tense is really important on the ACT. You want to make sure that it's consistent all the way across. All right, the last one, same passage. Again, the sentence, my destination country being Greece, who is located in the southeastern part of Europe. So this question is talking about proper pronouns, and it wants us to find the correct phrase to modify the country Greece. Since Greece is not a person, we do not say who, we would say which. So my destination country being Greece, which is located in the southeastern part of Europe. So we replace the word who with which because Greece is a country and not a person. All right, moving on to some questions from the math section here. We're looking at this one. What is the y-coordinate of a point in a standard xy coordinate plane at which two lines, y equals x plus 5 and y equals 2x plus 6, intersect? And so if we're looking at a question like this, when two lines intersect, that's when they're set equal to each other. So if we're looking and we have y equals x plus 5 and y equals 2x plus 6, what you're going to want to do is you'll set them equal to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this part here. So we set the two equations equal to each other to find the value for x at which the two lines are equal. So here you have x plus 5 equals 2x plus 6. If I move around the x and I move around the 5 and the 6, I can simplify to get x equals -1. Then they want to know what is the y coordinate. So I have to take that -1 and plug it into x in the original equation. So as you can see down here, I have I used to have y equals x plus 5. Now instead of x, I have -1, and I'm able to find 4 as my value. So I would choose option C for this. All right, this next math question is talking about a parallelogram with dimensions in feet is shown in the diagram provided. What is the area of the parallelogram in square feet? So when we're finding an area of a parallelogram, the formula that we use is area equals base times height. Base is just how long the bottom is, and height is how long it is vertically from a line that's basically perpendicular to the ground. So in this situation, our base is made up of two parts, a part that's 6 feet long and a part that's 10 feet long. So if you add those together, that's 16 for the base. And then the height is 8. So what I can show you here is that base is 6 plus 10 is 16, and height is 8. So 16 times 8 is 128. And that is the area there for a parallelogram. All right, as we get going with our next question here, if y equals x minus 3, then x minus y squared, or x minus y to the fourth, equals what? So when we're given two equations, this kind of clues us in to do some substitution. And what we want to do here is take the original equation, and we're using that to find the value of x minus y. So instead of y equals x minus 3, we have this value, and we're going to solve for x here. So we can substitute x in the equation. Once we solve for x and move things around, we notice that our other equation had x minus y together, so we can get this equation in that form. So 3 equals x minus y. And so now the only thing we have to do here is just go ahead and plug 3 in. 3 to the fourth is 81, so that would be our answer. All right, this next question, some star systems radiate strongly at both the shorter and longer wavelengths in the ultraviolet region and in the infrared radio regions. This odd distribution is explained by the pairing of a red giant star and a hot small star that travel around a common center. These are known as symbolic stars. So that would be part of the passage that you would read. And then our question, based on this passage, says, according to the passage, the radiation emitted by the symbiotic stars is distinctive in that it, and we can choose a few options, is visible on only photographic plates, consists partly of visible waves, cannot be detected by the naked eye, is strong at the extreme ends of the spectrum. All right, so this question is a detailed question, but it's also asking about the main idea. And so the passage is talking about the type of binary system that it's described as radiating even more strongly at both shorter and longer wavelengths. So this both shorter and longer, that's kind of comparing two different ends of the spectrum. So we're going to go ahead and choose D because that comparison of the short and the long is really driving the differences and talking about how it's extreme in both spots. All right, for this next question, the same exact passage that we have, but this question now says the primary purpose of this passage. So this is when we're getting to like author's purpose, main idea. The main idea of this passage, if we're reading it, remember we're going to predict before we look at our answers, is that the symbiotic stars are kind of a special type of binary or two-part star system. They have some strange pattern that's going on with the stars. They call them symbiotic stars, different ends of the spectrum. We just know it's odd. And so I'm looking for something that kind of describes it as odd, different, unique, kind of a system there. And so if I go to my answer choices, the primary passage is to argue that a percentage of stars are symbiotic. I'm not really getting an arguing feeling. Is to criticize the theory as overly speculative. I don't see much criticism. Describe stars as a distinct type of star system. That one seems right, but I'm going to keep reading and see how it goes. Compare symbiotic stars to red giants and smaller stars. So we're not really comparing, we're just talking about the different ones. So we would go with C here, describing as distinct or different. All right, looking at question 9, I'm going to read the passage here first. The opposition asks us to support Governor Stoppard's senatorial campaign after his 6 previous losses because even if he is not Thomas Jefferson, he has tried harder than anyone in U.S. politics today. Ford tried hard to make the Edsel, but we should not go all the way to buy his sound automobile or unsound automobile. So our question here is, which of the following describes the main points? So when we're reading this, we're noticing some opposition. The opposition argues that Stoppard should be selected should be elected as senator because even if he's not Jefferson, he has tried harder to be elected than anyone else. There's evidence that he's lost a few times. He said he's 6 previous losses on his way to become senator. And the author of this passage kind of thinks that, the size of one's effort is not a good indication of their ability or achievement. And so he's, he's kind of saying, no matter what, you try again, is that better than having achievement? And so his main point is basically like, is effort the same as achievement? And so if we look in these answer choices, his campaign is doomed to fail. He is a superior political leader. The opposition party is confusing effort with achievement. Yes, we're going to choose option C. All right, number 10, questions 10 through 12 relate to the passage and table. Pepsin is an enzyme in the human stomach that cleaves proteins from food into smaller peptides. Table 1 shows how the activity of pepsin, the rate at which it breaks down another compound, referred to as the substrate, is affected by pH. In each case, 100 units of pepsin were added to 1 milliliter solution containing 1 milligrams per milliliter of 2 proteins and adjusted to a particular pH. After 1 minute, the amount of protein that had been broken down was measured. Whew, so that's kind of a mouthful, but we have a table. So our question number 10, based on the information in the table, as the pH increased, the activity of the pepsin. So remember, when we're looking at tables and trends and data, we're most looking at overall. So as the pH increased, one thing that is assumed that you understand here is that a pH increase means that the numbers are decreasing. So I am noticing a few things. I'm looking at, solutions 1 through 4. As the pH decreased, the solution or the activity was also increasing. So I'm looking at the substrates for protein 1, and I'm trying to look at the activity. When it was a high number like 6, it was 0. When it was a 5, it was 0.3. When it was a 4, it was 0.6, and it was a 3, it was a 0.9. And then I can also compare and look at substrate 2 or protein number 2. Again, the numbers increased for the activity. So sorry, looking at this, if we're kind of looking at the table here, we are choosing B, that it decreases only. So if you look at number 1, when they're measuring the activity in the protein, the substrate is decreasing as the pH increases from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. So the higher the pH goes, the less activity. So it is showing a decrease only for option B. Number 11, same thing. Our question though is, according to the information in the table 1, which of the following conclusions can be made about the rate at which 100 units of pepsin cleave or break down protein 2 when the pH is 3? So we're looking at protein 2 and a pH of 3. So that's right about here. We have a 2.4 activity. And our options are right here. So faster than the rate at a protein pH 4. So the activity at a 3 is 2.4, and the activity at a 4 is 1.6, so that is faster. Equal to, those numbers are not the same. Slower than protein 2 at 4, nope, it's faster, and slower than protein 1 at 4, and protein 1 at 4 was 0.6. So we would want to go with A as our correct response here. All right, our last question, which of the following factors in table 1 could not have been directly controlled by an experimenter? The quality of enzyme, the substrate, protein, the pH of the solution, or the optimal pH for enzyme. So we could change the quality of enzyme. They could have chosen how much of the enzyme. They could have chosen the substrate, the pH, but they cannot change the optimal pH. That is kind of what we are measuring here. That's our response variable, so we would not be able to measure that. So we would choose option D. All right, so that's our recording. Make sure you work through those practice problems. I'd like everybody to go ahead and go to this website. I will share this up here for you to go to. Go to this website, please, and take your own free ACT practice. It is called captest.com/ACT/free 20-minute-workout. And when you get to that website, I will show you what it looks like. It looks like this purple website, and there will be some questions that you scroll through. When you first get to it, it'll just say free ACT questions, 20-minute workout, and you can click start, and it will take you through some questions. Just like we did, you can answer them, and then it will move you on to the next one. It's meant to be done in 20 minutes, so take 20 minutes either today or tomorrow and go ahead and get working on that.